Welcome to the Grifball Community Podcast, covering all your Grifball needs. And now, your hosts for the Grifball Community Podcast, PinnHeadLarry and RageMoreNerd.
Welcome to the Grifball Community Podcast, where we have a new co-host every week. My name is PinnHeadLarry24 from GrifballHub.com, and I'm here with my co-host RageMoreNerd. And today we're going to be talking about the AGLA Pro Playoffs, which just happened last week, and the championship yet to come, with our guest TariqmacpotV4, who will be participating in the championship that will be happening, which I believe is Thursday, and an interview with the man, the myth, the legend, Tariqmacpot.
Yo.
The playoffs, AGLA Pro Playoffs, have just concluded. It was Next Dimension who won against One Hit Wonders in a 2-1 series, probably the most competitive playoff game we've seen thus far, as the Vital Signs vs. Impulse playoff series ended with Vital Signs sweeping the series against Impulse, and a devastating loss for Impulse, as our championship is going to be Vital Signs versus Next Dimension. But the first playoff game I want to talk about, because I want to save the best for last, but I want to talk about Impulse versus Vital Signs, the first series that happened, I believe, on Monday. Like I said, it was a 2-0 sweep. And how did you feel about it, Rage? I know you watch almost all the streams. And what do you think went wrong for Impulse? And what went into the minds of Vital Signs that made them come out with the win? What was the X factor for them?
When I made the good pig, bad panda thing with piggies on Impulse, I said that one of the reasons that they would miss playoffs was because Tonga was going to be out of it. That part was wrong. I think it was delayed, though, because watching the playoff games, I didn't see the usual Tonga that people were expecting to see. For a team that's so dependent on Ace and Tonga to do what they do best, I feel like the running just wasn't there for Impulse. There were a lot of deaths at the goal line that Vital Signs was able to save. And I think that they were missing one of the biggest strengths. And when you can't run and pass the ball around or Vital Signs, you're going to lose, because Rain will eventually tank through you. As good as Ace is, he's not going to be able to carry that tanking line. So I think the lack of playmaking and running is what did Impulse in.
And just from a broadcast perspective, I saw Tonga finally kick it into gear, and it's not like he was not playing, but he needed to warm up. He'd been missing but he hadn't been on consistently for a little while because of other reasons, and it took him a good game and a half to get warmed up and get into the gear, and then towards the end of game two, there wasn't enough flow to finally recover.
And to his in his defense a little bit, this was one of the tougher matchups.
Oh yeah,
so first getting back into the flow of things, because if you played like a Pro Runner or One Hit Wonders, teams that don't out tank you their way to victory, then you'll have more breathing room and be able to get back into your groove. But when you have to play against Vital Signs that just has Rain, Nets, and even Oogie as defense, it's you're just constantly having to play keep away or being pushed back against your back wall, and it's really hard to get into emotion with all that going on.
So Tariq, how do you feel about your teammates? Because I'm pretty sure Vital Signs and Impulse had Ace, and they also had Rain. They had a lot of players, your own teammates from GGL. How did you feel about that series, and who were you going for, and what was your prediction going into it? Was your prediction right or wrong?
Well, I didn't catch the game, but I did pick Impulse to get the upset victory on Vital Signs. I just felt like after playing Impulse, when we got too old that night, I definitely felt like they was on a roll and they was gonna upset them and beat them and advance to the championship.
Yeah, definitely the odd surprise there, because I definitely wanted Impulse to come out on top, and my 2 cents on that game was honestly, Impulse it was the nerves. I've been talking to D-Cleek and Rick about nervousness before games all week, and D-Cleek played his ass off. I feel that Rick and him, I feel like the entire team played their best, but I just feel like Tonga, especially after talking to every single one of them, obviously except for Tonga and Ace. So the main core guys were very vocal about their team success and what went wrong and what didn't. They were talking about how Tonga was kind of just all over the place. They didn't like how he played in that series. They just thought he was a little too aggressive, and he cost them a lot of turnovers. They just felt like he wasn't playing like Tonga usually does. And like I said, that could be because he didn't practice enough going into the game. But I felt like overconfidence is really what got Tonga. Tonga was very confident. They went in with a winning streak, and they kind of just got swept by the best team in the league. So it's just like you can't expect that much, but piss poor preparation leads to poor execution of that prep. And I just feel like King Rick and all of them I feel like Tonga kind of let them all down, especially Ace, because he really just didn't show up in that game. But, it is what it is. They're Vital Signs will be advancing to the championship and playoff matchup. Like I said, there's more here, especially because we got more of the teammates from both sides of this. And that is One Hit Wonders versus Next Dimension, a loss that definitely hurt me. So Tariq, from the opposition of my side, talk a little bit about that series for us a little bit here.
Well, I was pretty happy. We got the 4th seed. I did not want to face Vital Signs or Info because, as obviously during the season we got 3-0 by Vital Signs. It was pretty bad. My fault. Yeah, we got 3-0 by them. There was some pretty bad 3-0s, like 5-0s, 2 5-0s, and one game was like 5-4, like 40 minutes, something like that. And then we faced Impulse, and I remember we was facing them, and we was going in all confident, like, we better beat these guys once, we're gonna beat them twice or however many times again. The Impulse comes out and then they beat us twice. So we was definitely wanting to avoid Vital Signs and Impulse, and then we was happy we got the 4th seed because we wanted to face it on One Hit Wonders because we played them 3 times. They beat us one time, then we beat them one time. But the last game of the season, we took that game off of them. So we was like, all right, if we faced them, we definitely had the more confidence into going and facing them. So we was like, we definitely have the matchups advantage too. Because we was definitely like, we had me, myself, and Galvin, and then we already know who to key down, stuff like that. So it was like as far as game plan, it was pretty easy to game plan.
What about you, Rage, from a captain standpoint for One Hit Wonders? What was that game like for you, or those series like for you as a player?
Like Tariq said, matchups wise, I was not happy to see Hybrid Theory fall apart at the end. I did not want to play Next Dimension. I've said this plenty of times before. From the beginning of the season, from the preseason, from every game we played, I never felt like a game was more out of our control than a game against Next Dimension. Like even against a Vital Signs or Impulse, like I still felt like we controlled the pace of the games, and it was just ours to lose. I never had that feeling going against Next Dimension, and it was really upsetting to face them in the first round, and we lost. As I feared, I was really happy we took a game off. I thought we had it for a moment in that second game. We could have had it. We could have had it, and it would have been really. It felt like an upset to me. Like I did not feel like the favorites going into it, despite what the seed said. But they just, Galv and Tariq, when they get on your spawn, are just unkillable, and it is just so frustrating for us, especially because that is the one thing that we really struggle to get, is to get the kills when it mattered, because we would find our ways to score without getting the kills. But when they have the ball and you just can't kill Tariq and Galvinator, who are just destroying you on spawn, it's only a matter of time before they eventually would get in on us. And, Galv is just such a monster on defense, too, with this stupid, cheating, rigged nonsense hammer and sword lunges, so...
Dude, it honestly feels like a cheat code. Some of those lunges are stupid. Not to mention, he mutuals on like the dumbest things ever. But obviously, as a very vocalized person myself, I definitely have a lot to say about the game. A lot of people expected a lot out of me. after the game because of my previous history. Like I remember Tariq joined the party after the game. He's like, "Oh, I bet you were screaming and yelling at your teammates." But the complete opposite happened because I've never had teammates like one-hit wonders before. I played with my best friend, Geo, or In Motion Venom. I played with a very unsuspecting teammate that turned out to be one of my favorite teammates of all time. Is RageMoreNerd.
Oh,
yeah, totally. I'm so. You know what? I don't want Next Dimension to win because of Snipe Down. By the way, I don't want them to win. Not the. No, don't get this mistaken.
Man,
if you
do it for me, man. Do it because you want to see me win, man.
No. Hold on. Let me just say this. If anybody's stumbling across this, it's like, wait. Yeah, Snipe Down from Envious is playing and you don't like him? No. It's nothing like that. This guy is made a mockery of that game attack Snipe Down. A mockery. He is Vex Loxodrome, and I don't want to hear nothing. I don't want to hear a single thing about this guy being named Snipe Down. This man Snipe Down has made is blasphemous. What he has done to that game attack Snipe Down, he should be banned.
Larry, water.
Larry, you should get into the ministry. I'm just saying that's some serious Baptist behavior right there.
So let me.
I want to comment about that game because honestly, that series was one of my favorite so far this season, aside from the Pro All-Stars games. And the reason is because it was a knockdown, drag-out fight. There was nothing one-sided about that series whatsoever. I saw extraordinary plays and extraordinary efforts from everybody on all sides. That's why it went down to 4-4 the first two games. It was there. You don't get to a 4-4 in a game by one-siding the plays. It's not that anybody was necessarily out-tanked. It wasn't at those first two games. It wasn't about strategy. It was about literally beating the daylights out of the other team and each of them doing so equally to a point where it came down to that last goal. It was odd to see that it went the way it did in the final game, but I've seen it happen. It's happened to me before. But under no certain circumstances should any of the players who were in that game feel as though they didn't perform their best, because I saw some spectacular plays, highlight footage, and skill brought out in that 3-game series.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like no one specifically played bad. I feel like we did everything that we excelled at. I was playing I got some of my favorite plays I've ever pulled off on defense. Pinhead got those routes in. We didn't need to tank in, we split the defense and he just ran right down the middle once the window opened. And Tariq and Galvanator did what they do best too. They were just unkillable, and Galvanator was just racking up the kills and making the plays. I feel everyone played to their strengths, and at the end of the day, they just had the better matchup on us, and that was the ever so small ledge that they needed.
Yeah, that's one thing you can say about the season, is that just like no true team, because even the best team in the league, Vital Signs, had their, in my opinion, it's Vital Signs. I don't care. Call me biased, unbiased, whatever. On the podcast, I'm a person who is going to be unbiased. I'm going to tell you straight up, Vital Signs is the best team in the league. Even they had their counter. They got dominated heavily by Hybrid Theory, but even then, Hybrid Theory got dominated by us, and it's a huge it was a very balanced season. Like, not everybody had the one-up over each other, and nobody truly dominated. That was the big problem about Summer League 16, is that it was just Impulse. It was Impulse just wrecking everyone because they had I'm not going to say unfair, because Tonga played his cards right. He chose the right players to, build around, and that's just what he did. I mean, good on him. But it was just so dominant. Here, you don't know who. Yeah, we don't talk about that season. That season might as well be as good as
that never happened, man.
Yeah, might as well, because that was an awful season. But in this season, it was super balanced. Not every team had the one-up on each other. Like, there are teams that could beat, like, for example, our easiest teams to beat was, besides Pro Run, which everyone seemed to have a walk in a park with, no offense. But like, when we went up against Hybrid Theory, we just did way better against Hybrid Theory than, let's just say, Vital Signs. Vital Signs struggled heavily against that team, but we just seemed to walk right through them. But one thing I do have to say about that series is just like, that series took a lot out of me. Honestly, I feel like I choked in game 3. A lot, because just my energy. I've never wanted to play a game more than game 3. It killed my vibe. I really thought we had the second game, and that was just my bad. But like I said, it's a learning experience. This is my first AGLA Pro playoffs. So It was definitely a learning experience. But one thing I can honestly say about this is I'll never get nervous for a game again. Because once you lose in that big game, you're kind of just like, you lost, you lost your first opportunity. So I'm glad I will never feel nervous for a game again. And I know I won't because
I hate to break it to you, that's not true. You're not going to get to that point until you win.
Until you win, really?
You think so, but once you get to the
well, no, I can still see myself.
Be like, as the closer you get, the more nervous.
Yeah, that's what I was. Yeah.
But once you cross that line, that's when like, okay, I did it. I proved that I can win, and then I can chill.
Yeah, it's just that series definitely took a lot out of me. I was very disappointed. I was devastated. I wasn't even really devastated about the loss. It was just more my friend Gio. I felt like I let I felt like I let my teammates down, and I hate letting people down. I also hate losing, and it honestly just became something more than just losing. It had more to do with the bond I made with the players I played with. I hate to let them down, but I definitely tried to play my hardest in those games. I did all I could. And, of course, you got the choking comments. I know I like to say when people choke and stuff and people saying I choked.
That's nothing about me after the first game. Choke. Like, bro, relax. It's only game one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. I kind of got really hyped, but I always get hyped. You know how I am. But one thing I want to make one comment about what Killer said. Like, I know Killer was talking a lot of ish and stuff, and that's fine. He can say, oh, he's this, that, and this, but at the end of the day, you still got the two best players in the league on your team, or one of the two best players in the league on your team. You're supposed to do that, and I'm finally glad he stepped up enough for his team to actually win. And yes, those are shots. I mean, it's just I would love to run behind Galv and Tariq because I've done it before. And it's a walk in the park. And we ran against super teams. Running behind them, we played against super teams and we beat them. So I'm glad Killers is finally stepping up and actually doing stuff for his team again. So good on Killers.
They're really good. They're really good, I can say.
Oh, thanks, man.
Like, I don't know if I want to say Killer stepped up. I think a better way of saying it is that he stepped back. Because he's known as a very aggressive runner, whether it's punching people or trying to jump over people. But he really didn't try that against us. He had a couple of key turnovers. That was really more about great defensive plays on our end. He didn't really force anything. And I was really hoping he would try to, because that's kind of how he can take advantage of it from against other teams. But I think by letting Tariq and Galvinator do their thing, it worked out better for them.
He showed more restraint and control.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, we definitely all ran the ball in that game, so we didn't want to put it all on Killers and probably that pressure, but he definitely did play well. Probably the best game all season, and that's a good thing, man.
So I have a question for Tariq, and it's when you pull some of those insane assassination plays, like where you do the up and back, they're so quick and they're so fast, and you get these chained kills. Is that just reflex? Are you actually thinking about it by looking at the radar, or do you see it coming? Is it one of those kind of things where you can actually see the strategy as it's happening and instinctively know where you need to hit next?
Well, I definitely read the player's body, like what they're doing. Like some people know how I play. Some people know like I'm gonna do a little thrust back or jump back and thrust forward. So I try to catch him off guard sometimes, but like the way I play basically in that Halo 5, it's just based off all on instincts now. Like, I'm reading the plays, I'm looking at my radar. It's all of that and above. Like everything is calculated before I even do it.
Yeah.
I think he just cheats.
Nah,
it's amazing how to
read.
That's why I can't kill you.
Yeah, Galvinator and Tariq give me more trouble than any other player, so it was definitely interesting.
And what I try to do most in Halo 5 is try to value my life more. If I know I'm in a situation, I'm in a corner, I will try my hardest to get on the wall hop, just hammer jump and stabilize in the air and just try and thrust my way out of it. I try so hard to value my life in Halo 5 now. It's like just to keep the push. Like, even the last guy alive, I just try to back up, just try and know where everybody's going, stuff like that. Just to keep my life.
How important is the thrust in the game type in relation to survival for you?
I think
immense.
I think it's definitely important, man, because you always want to have that thrust. You never just want to use it randomly. And if you do use it randomly in a court situation, what I do, I usually just pull out my sword and try and bottom lead everywhere I can go. Try and go left, right, back, forward, just run away. Like you always see me in the game. Like if I use my vest already and I'm in a bad situation, I just try to pull out my sword and just run away as fast as I could. I don't want to die whatsoever. Like my life is so valuable at that point. Like even we're on a good push, my life is so valuable because it's a 3-man push, and like so if I die, we're down a man. So me doing that is keeping all 3 guys alive.
So you're saying if I actually started trying to not die as often, that maybe I would get better?
Yeah, you gotta.
Okay.
You gotta. I'm just saying you gotta put yourself in situations where what I like to do. You weigh my strats here. I like to stay. I try my best to stay out the middle of the court. I like to use the wall as my like sideline, so like nobody can get there. So like if I know where I'm at, I like to have the wall there so I can know nobody get there, and I like to also have it so I can wall hop, so like just dance around a little bit. But I never like to be in the middle because I feel like everybody's always gonna like try and team take me, so I just be on the wall a lot.
You're like the complete opposite of Rain, who just lives in the middle of the court.
Just feeds off those kills. But now that you guys have beaten Juan Hit Wanders, you are facing Vital Signs. How do you feel about that matchup? And what have you prepared to beat them? Because Vital Signs is not a walk in the park, despite the record that they hold.
I mean, yeah, this is definitely gonna be. I feel like this is gonna be the hardest game of the season, especially because I think this is the only team that beat us 3 times in a row. I think so. It's definitely they definitely was our hardest team this season. As far as game planning, we faced them in a scrim on I believe the day before the game, like Tuesday, something like that, and we 3-0 them. And then so the strats from that game, I'm definitely going to incorporate into a championship game. I feel like doing a regular during the season is not going to work. So I definitely have an idea of how we can beat them this time around.
This is not the best way to go out. I don't think we've been swept, so thankfully we never had to deal with that problem. But it's definitely going to be an interesting matchup. Of course, we got Arc just extremely dominating as always, because Tonga just gets all the best players on one team as always, and I'm not even gonna take the shot there. What? I'm pulling back. But Rain, Nets, they're your teammates. Do you feel like them being your teammates or were your teammates in previous seasons, does that kind of give you the edge over Nets Pride and Rain, or is it just whatever?
A little bit. I know how they play just from playing with them here for sure, but they definitely might try and switch it up. I'm not gonna go in the game, trying to assume that they don't play the same all season. Because obviously, it's a championship game. Like they're not gonna do the same thing they did all season to us. But they're gonna switch it up a little bit. They might change their rotations. They might do something different. You never know. So I'm definitely just gonna do my part as far as game plan and tell my team what to do. But I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. That matchup's pretty epic. What about you, Rage? From a spectator standpoint, what do you expect to see going into this playoff or this championship final?
Well, this would probably have been my preseason matchup, what I expected, because these 2 teams are the strongest going in the preseason. I feel, but the next match definitely had their struggles in the middle part of the season. Vital Signs kind of kept on cruising, and I really, really want Next Dimension to win because I don't want to lose unless it's to the champions. And for the most part, that's usually true, except for like 1 or 2 circumstances. I don't know, man. This season has just been so dependent on matchups because, like you said earlier, like there's really no. You said Vital Signs, but really, when I was doing my daily rankings, I think I had every single team at number 1 at one point or another, except for Pro Run, and I kind of abandoned those halfway through the season because I forgot. But I think every team, if they're on their game, they can be the best. But like when it comes to matchups, I feel Vital Signs has the edge here because again they won the season series 3-0. And I think Oogie for 10 credits is just going to be that steal and bidding that people will look back on and saying, oh, that is probably why they won.
Yeah, honestly, like I said, I've said this before. X Factor is that player that the stats don't really show the full story for the X Factor. The player that is kind of like the core to a team's success. Like, for example, King Rick is the core to Impulse's success. If he does not do well, the team will not succeed. So I feel like your guys' X factors are really going to play a huge part. Like, you got Tariq, what he does in game. Like, he's a little streaky. He's been a little streaky. I know he's been kind of like dominant, but we expected a little bit more out of Tariq. I know there was a lot of MVP talk with Tariq and saying that he could be MVP, but those have kind of just died out. And like I said, he's an X factor. When he starts to do bad, the team starts to do poor as well. I mean, obviously you got killers just, losing the ball and looking wacky out there. But at the same time, like Tariq needs to, as a superstar, you kind of just need to lift your weaker teammates up and be like, hey, we're winning this. And the X factor for Vital Signs is Oogie. So it's definitely, you got two X factors that, they're going to butt heads. And of course you got the dominant players going at it. You got Rain and Galv going at it, which is going to be a slay matchup, which is going to be crazy. But the real X factor, I think, on Vital Signs, I know Oogie is a great player, and I feel like he's kind of like the secret player, kind of their secret weapon, like Net said. But Net's pride, I think, is the biggest X factor for Vital Signs. Like, the stuff he brings to the table is stuff you can't just pull up the stat sheets. There's a lot of players like this. You can't just bring up the stats sheet and be like, oh, this man's doing so much for his team. It's like, no, the stuff Nets is doing for his team is something that cannot be displayed on by stats. Stats don't tell the full story, and that's definitely how it is for Nets. And I feel like Nets is going to be such a game changer. Nets is undefeated. If you don't count GGO, Nets is undefeated in AGLA championships. He's won 2, and then he also won a Halo 3 one, which is technically AGLA, but technically not. And this is his 4th championship. He is a cutthroat competitor. Despite of how nice and cool he is, he doesn't care what it takes to win a championship. He'll do it. And that's what's so crazy about Net's pride. And I feel like he's going to be such a game changer in this championship. But I really think the biggest factor that's going to play in both these teams is the nervousness, because the inexperience that these players have in chips. Like, I know, Tariq, you've been in a championship before, but I feel like Tariq, you're gonna get nervous. I feel like Ugloff's gonna get nervous. I feel like Adorbalize is gonna get nervous. I mean, I think you will. And I think that I think Rain is gonna get really nervous because Rain's never been here, despite playing since Reach. He's never been to an AGLA championship.
He was in one.
I feel like he was in one.
Yeah, back in Reach. Yeah, a long time ago.
Oh, okay. So I feel like Rain's going to get a little nervous, but he's a great player, and I feel like this is going to be one hell of a championship. So, DJ, from a commentator's perspective, how do you feel about this game, this championship? Who do you think is going to be a big factor?
Well, in my professional opinion, I'm the worst person to ask. Here's the thing. One thing that the teams that are finally going are the teams that we've seen the most extraordinary strategies and chances have been taken by these teams on more than one occasion to do something extraordinary. And every time that they have tried, it has worked out in their favor. But now that you've got both of those balls of luck coming and going at each other at the same time, we're going to see something extraordinary. I doubt it will be a 2-game series. I am fairly certain it will be a 3-game series. And I would bet most likely the first 2 games are going to be all 9 rounds. I would have no doubt in my mind if I saw that happen. As far as standout players, there is not one single player on either of those teams that doesn't amaze me. There's nobody on those teams that I feel is a detractor for the talent on those teams. But then again, you're talking to the guy who has, an extraordinarily well-established negative KD, so whatever. But the most impressive thing in me, by the way, about Nets is not just his playing skill, but his grammar. Flawless.
Oh, yeah.
That's going to be the difference maker right there.
Nets is
Yep.
yeah. His grammar knowledge is definitely gonna win him games, but I don't know.
People give him give him credit on that one because I don't think people necessarily know that side of him. But he's nightmarishly extraordinary in his levels of intelligence. Like
I think
it's impressive. It's very impressive, and I think that's going to that's going to benefit his ability to play because he thinks so far out of the box.
Yeah, I've known Nets for quite some time. Don't let his intelligence fool you. He is a dummy. I'll tell you.
I think we're ignoring the most obvious part about really proves that he's really not that smart. His gamer tag is Nets Pride. He's a Nets fan.
Well, I mean,
do those still exist?
Hey, he made the gamer tag when he was like 12 years old, man.
Yo, Nets also has a very interesting, distinct sounding voice. Like Nets has, bro. I don't know what it is about Nets, but there's a few people in the community where their mics sound like they're in a black hole, like they're in a secret room in the middle of Afghanistan, and they can't let anybody know their location. Like you never hear background noise in Nets' mic. Like it's literally just like, "Yo, what's up, guys? How's it going?" You know, I don't know how to do a Nets Pride impression. I'm just going to use the Cartman impression instead. But
unlike Tariq, where there's a bear snoring behind him.
Every day.
Oh, I know. Seriously, dude. There was a drill.
Over here,
there was a drill going on.
Over here.
I know, seriously. There was a drill going on in my house because there's been renovations to my house and all that stuff. And it was like, and it was really loud. And everyone's just like, yo, tell Denny to shut the hell up. And I was like, oh. I was like, that's me, man. And they're like, oh, I really thought that was Denny because Denny does snore like that, dude. He really does snore like a drill. It's crazy. But honestly, let's get to the predictions and why we are predicting this stuff. Tariq, what do you think is going to happen this game? What are your predictions for the series, and what do you think is going to happen here?
I definitely think it's going to go 3 games. Just how good just how good these two teams are. But I got us taking it. I got it taking it 3. And I don't care what anybody says. I'm not going to say sit here and say it's going to go 2 games, stuff like that. Maybe this is a championship. These are the best teams. So I don't know. I wanted to go 2, but it's probably going to go 3. And I'm going to give you guys a show. All right? Game 3, I'm going to give you a show. How about that?
How nice of you to, just let us have the show instead of just running them over. It's really considerate of you.
And I'm doing for the fans, man. I'll give you game 3. I'm giving you more excitement. Give me more Tariq. How about that?
Nah, we don't want more Tariq, man. I'm telling you that much.
Want more Galvanator.
Yeah, we want more of the Whistler, dude. Galvanator himself. That's his impression of his laugh, by the way. I remember I used to hate Galvanator, but that's because I mistaken him for someone else. Because there was Rain used to run these like free-for-all customs where we used to just play like Halo regularly, and there was this guy in there, and for some reason I know Galvanator was there when we used to do them, but I mistaked this guy for Galvanator, and I thought like Galvanator was just, it wasn't Galactic Jedi, because I know who Galactic Jedi is. I've talked to him a few times, but it was someone else, and I was just like, man, I really hate this guy, and I thought it was Galvanator for the longest time. So every time it wasn't until Tariq actually got him in a party with us, I was like, oh, like Galvanator isn't that bad. Like he's no one I thought he was. But my prediction of the series, I'm a little bit unforgiving, but I think the series is gonna go 2-0. Vital Signs. Vital Signs is just going to steamroll. And here's why I'm going to say this. I'm not going to just say this because, they beat us. Whatever. You got Rain, and Rain and Galv. Galv brings a little bit more to the table, but Rain is just going to run over. He just slays like a monster. And then you got Nets. Nets doesn't always get all the kills, but he gets the right kills. And I feel like him getting Tariq out of the game and kind of hitting him out of the game and stuff. And I just feel like Adorbalize and Viper, I just feel like Adorbalize, she's kind of the bait. She's going to run to spawn. She's going to get someone distracted, and she knows how to distract people on spawns. And Oogie's kind of serves as like a 4th tank for the team, and he's just going to work their defense like no other. And I just feel like if Tariq's team doesn't maintain ball possession, that Next Dimension's just going to fall apart. And I just feel like with the mixture of defensive hammers and defensive swords, like, I mean, Rain, he's not a guy you want to punch. You do not want to punch Rain. You do not want to punch Net's Pride. And I feel like Killers is just going to make one punch that's going to, because he goes for those random punches like where he doesn't need to go for them. And he's going to punch someone. Even a Doorbell is kind of like that, where if you try to punch her, she's going to make you pay for it. So I feel like a Killer's is going to make a wrong mistake punching someone he has no business punching, and he's going to lose the ball. And ball possession is so key. Like, we scored, one-hit wonders scored every time we got the ball first, or we got the ball off tip-off. And you guys scored almost all the time you guys got tip-off. Ball possession is so key. Yeah. And I just feel like you guys just – I feel like – Oogie, especially because, like, when you get up and, like, you get through those gaps and you try to lunge him, he likes to bait you into those lunges, and I just feel like he's just going to have a field day punching Galvanator and Killers and all your guys' attempts of playing defense, and I just feel that they're going to send one person to weak side. You guys are going to get too distracted, and you don't want to get distracted with Rain. When you're tanking, you want to be on your P's and Q's against Rain, because Rain will make you pay for it, and same with Nets, and I just think that I really do feel that Vital Signs is just going to steamroll. But, hey, I'd like to see something different. I want to see competitive. Will I watch the championship? I don't know. I really don't. I haven't watched I've never watched an AGLA championship.
You are missing out on some of the best joys in life. I'm just saying. You realize that, right?
I feel like the best matchups, at least since I've been in the league, some of the best matchups are – in playoffs because of conferences, well, except for this season. But conferences usually stacks teams to one side, and I feel like there's better playoff matchups than there are championship matchups. Like, for example, Next Dimension versus Legitimate Strategy is the most exciting playoff game or series I've ever seen, ever. Same with Legitimate Strategy versus Hybrid Theory. But when you watched Hybrid Theory versus One Hit Wonders that season, it was just like I tuned in for like a little bit, and I was like, dude, this is the most boring thing I've ever watched in my entire life. I'm out. Like, this is not fun. So I've just seen way better playoff series than I've seen championship series. So will I watch it? Like I said, I have no idea. I feel like all the best playoffs have already been played. So that's just me. But Rage, what are your predictions? I've been talking.
Disrespectful, Larry.
Also, Also, I want you guys to lose.
A superstar like me, you're not gonna watch me in my prom,
bro. I'd watch you like every now and again for 8 hours editing your dang montage. So no, I'm not gonna watch you.
Yeah. How is that coming, bro?
Yeah, you ain't gotta know. I watch you all the time, so I don't have to watch you on stream, dude, because you'll just oh wait, no, you want me to finish it by then, so I won't get to watch what you do on stream. But back to Rage. How do you feel about abomination of a championship?
Well, I don't know about that, but I'm sticking with Vital Signs. I think they're gonna win in 3 games. I think, like you said, nerves will come into play. I think it'll hit Rain. I think it'll hit Oogie a little bit. I think Next Dimension is going to sneak out game 1, like 5-3 or so. But then the matchup is going to come into play, and they're going to settle down. And Vital Signs are going to come back. They're going to win the close game 2, and then game 3, I feel is going to be kind of lopsided with Vital Signs winning like 5-1 or something. I think when you look at the roster straight up, you've got Tariq and Galvanator, and then you've got the really, really big drop off. Not so much that Killers and Viper aren't that great players, because they are, but Tariq and Galvanator are really just that good. But on Vital Signs, you've got Rain and Nets, and then you have a third star in Oogie. And I think anything that Killers and Viper can do is going to be offset by Oogie a few times over. I'm not sure how much Adorable Eyes will come into play. I feel like she's going to come in and do what she does. She's not gonna. She's put out some big negative numbers. I don't really care about the stats, but she's gonna be in the game. She's gonna apply her pressure, and she's gonna do what she needs to do. Don't rely on her to win. I think Next Dimension it's key how Killers shows up, what kind of runner he wants to be. If he's gonna stick, he's gonna play like he did against us. I think they'll have a better shot. but then it kind of takes away the point of having killers. So I don't know. Either Next Dimension is going to win and just come out with it with killers being passive, or they're gonna end up like I think they're gonna win game 1, lose game 2, and then they're gonna let killers go in game 3, thinking that they need to change something up, and that's gonna be the downfall. I think it's just too much matchup and too much Oogie.
Hey, too much.
Man, the whole world is against me, man.
Oh,
I mean,
really?
The results speak for themselves so far.
I don't think the tanking lines are relatively even, in my personal opinion. They've got each has got their own unique strengths, but it's really going to come down to the runners. That's really what it's going to come down to, because if Killers is focused in any way, shape, or form on performance mistakes that happen on the team, it's going to distract him enough. In my opinion, it will distract. It may distract him enough that he's not going to be able to get around Oogie. And if he's coming on the reverse side and he's not in possession, if he's not focused, cool, calm, and collected, he's not going to get the ball from Oogie. And Oogie's got such a great defensive play, as in he doesn't go for the initial strikes. He waits for you to screw up when you try and kill him, and then he just punches you in the face and drops you to the ground. It's going to be who's going to be able to stay cool, calm, and collected. And I think Oogie's going to be able to pull it off, because so far he has become a god for running this season. And I don't know what happened to put him in his prime, but it's happened. And I don't see Razor or Killers being able to
Viper
match
or
that.
Killers.
I definitely agree. Honestly, I don't care what happened in that game. Against One Hit Wonders, call it Salt, call it whatever you want, but Viper, I'll tell you this much.
Viper.
Call it Salt, whatever. Viper and Killers are such, like, they're factors. They definitely make good cases and stuff, but I'll tell you this much. Viper and Killers are easy to kill. They're not hard to kill. Even when he has the ball, he's easy to kill.
All right, bro, you're not gonna bash my teammates here.
Yeah. I will just say this.
I said Razor meaning Viper.
Now, bro.
I just gotta say, I'm gonna bash him because, dude, literally, it's just Tariq and Galv, and
it's all of us, man. It's all of us.
Yeah, I'm with Tariq. Don't bash his teammates. Bash him. He's right here.
Oh, yeah, right. I mean, well, they'll listen to it anyway. I mean, you guys could talk about how you guys beat us all you want. I mean, we're still just a team of role players. The fact that we made it this far is insane.
No, I don't hear, man. You guys,
like I said, man, I'm an idiot.
Let me jump in now. You guys are the #1 seed. We struggled all damn season. And I don't want to hear nothing about it no more. I don't care about role players or not. You guys were a good team, solid team together, and y'all was #1 seed for half the season. And we were at the 4th seed all season. We fought our way here. I don't care. So,
you guys did. Honestly, I'm not saying that.
They're a good player. They bring what we need to bring to the table. Everything we need.
We didn't. To be fair, we didn't lose because of Viper and Killers. We lost because of you and Galvin.
Yeah, pretty much. That's what all. That's all.
The reasons we lost.
So, regardless of what the sides that people take with their predictions. By the way, when I said Razor earlier, I meant Viper. Just to clarify, these are in fact the top 8 players plus spare teammates in all of AGLA right now. Like without question, these two teams have made it to the finals. None of these people are people I could beat. So despite the fact that we're making observations about how we think it's going to happen in game, these are people that 90% of the time are going to kick the crap out of anybody else in Grifball, at least for Amy.
All I gotta say,
bro.
Where's my team? My team. Yeah, we lost, but hey, I'm an AGLA.
Your team's in the Bahamas celebrating their vacation right now.
I'm an AGLA. I'm an AGLA Fall League 14 AMI draft pick. I wasn't even, nobody even put me as a 10 bid that season, and then I'm here now. Like I was an AMI draft pick. I don't want to hear it. Okay, let me just talk about this real quick. A side comment to all the AMI players out there who are draft picks and saying, "Oh, I didn't get a fair chance." Man, I don't want to hear that. I got into customs and I went off in customs, and people were like, "Hey, Larry's good." Honestly, I worked my ass off to get to this point. So, I mean, where's my team now? Honestly, we shouldn't even be here right now. But the fact that we did, the fact that we got to the point where we got, honestly, that says enough. You could say all that stuff, but I'm just saying this. It was Galvanator and Tariq that really got us to where that is the team that really knocked us out of playoffs. Killers wants to talk that ish, he can go right ahead, because I already know who the main successors are on that team, and that's Tariq and Gal. Because I wasn't worried about nobody except for Tariq and Gal. Those were the only people I was worried about. That's all I'm saying. So
everybody did their job that game, man. It wasn't just me and Gal. It was Viper, Killers, and me.
Oh yeah.
Everybody did what we needed to do.
Whatever. At the end of the day, I mean, I just think that it's easy to shout when you're behind two of the best players. I mean, people can talk about all the stuff I talk, all the ish I talk, but here's the thing: I'm not hiding behind nobody. I'm not hiding behind anybody. My game speaks for itself. Honestly, I don't even need to talk trash because I could show what I can do on the court. So, but I mean, I just think it's a little cruddy for my PG reasons. I just think it's a little cruddy that he could just shout from a tower made of it's whatever. He can talk all that ish he wants.
I mean, he wasn't shouting calling you bad. He was just shouting, because everybody's.
Oh, I don't know, man.
Calling trash.
Pleasure, man.
All right. One last comment though, because I want next to mention a win. Some of you guys a little bit of an edge here. Not really, but just something that's gonna happen, and I just know that if you're not aware of it going into it, you're gonna lose to it. If Nets gets that ball and stands on that wall hop, oh my God, you cannot panic and start swinging when he gets onto that wall hop. You have to play it smart and play it safe, because I have seen it happen so many times where this guy jumps on the wall hop, he jumps in the air, even before thrusters, he just jump in the air and everyone's just up there staring at him, waiting for him to fall down. And then next thing you know, everyone on the team comes in and just wipes you out. I've never seen someone have a move so consistent or work so consistently before the Nets on his stupid wall hop. And he doesn't even do anything. He just stands up there and jumps up. He'll thrust forward or thrust back, and then just make you guys make a bunch of mistakes. Do not make the mistakes when Nets gets on that wall hop.
I've rarely seen that on the board. Jesus.
He doesn't really. I mean, you don't really need to. But I don't know how long.
Just to point out, for clarity purposes, between the two of them, Galvanator and Tariq rolled over 2,100, almost 20, a little over 2,200 kills the entire season. Like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, their games just took forever. It's whatever.
Oh yeah, that's another thing. A lot of people talk about the stats, but there is a stats per minute, so you can look how many minutes people played over other people. So if you're gonna bring in stats, might as well bring. Ray added minutes because no, not the crack. No. Well, what's his face? Ray calculated how long all the games take, and he calculated the minutes. So because I know someone was talking, I think it was Ginger talking about minutes, because we were talking about carrier kills, and he's like, oh, you only had 34, but this guy had 50, and I was like, well, he had almost an hour more minutes played than I do, so, I mean, what's your reasoning here? So make sure to look at those stats per minute, and when you're going in, and you're putting your ballot in. Vote PinnHeadLarry MVP. I don't care if I choked in that third game, it's all good. Anyway. So the podcast is over, but I would like to thank TariqmacpotV4 for being on the show, doing an interview. Good luck in the championship, you guys. I would like to thank RageMoreNerd because he's my co-host. Great teammate, good season, had a blast. I would like to thank, of course, DJBlue and GrifballHub, of course, and especially our producer, Uglov, who takes the time out to edit this stuff, and good stuff on him. And I'd just like to thank the community. It's a really great community, despite what a lot of people think about it. And we'll see you next week.
You've been listening to the Grifball Community Podcast. For more information on how you can get involved, head on over to GrifballHub.com. You can also follow us on social media. That's Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at GrifballHub. Tune in to our live streams Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday nights from 6 to 8 p.m. Pacific. That's 9 to 11 Eastern only on twitch.tv/GrifballHub.
Wait, I don't know. Are we recording? Let me just say that. I don't know because he didn't say it. I didn't want to keep going because the more I went into it, the more I was like, oh, I heard someone sigh. So
Now that you've asked,
Bring back the blood. Rated M again.
yes.